So today you are face to face with Abhilash, which we give so many times examples, isn't it?
A very good evening to all of you.
Yes. Take your seat. Yes, please.
नहीं सर से अब
No, it is.
आप बैठे मैं इस पर कंप्लीट
His basically one leg has got while playing cricket he got because in administration काम तो है नहीं नहीं गोल का भी टाइम नहीं है I tell
गेम्स की जो सीनियरिटी है ना
yes अभी क्रिकेट का टाइम है so later it will come so you can ask your questions. He will speak whatever a bit, isn't it?
Sir. So, let me first start by telling you how I joined this institution. So, I have given 4 attempts of CSC. My first attempt was when the syllabus pattern changed, and it was in CSC 2013. So, basically, I have given 13, 14, 15, 16. So, in 13, I got 47 marks in public administration paper 1, which I always say was less than the cost of ink pen I used for writing those examinations. So I decided that something was seriously wrong in my approach to public administration as well as preparation for civil services examination. And then I searched all options for public administration coaching institutes, and by luck, only sir was willing to take us. So that's how the journey started, sir. So me, and whenever I'll speak, I'll always use we because I never prepared alone. One of my very good friend, Avnindra, who is also in services, was with me during my entire preparation. We joined public administration, and after that, I think the issue of public administration related to civil services examination was at least solved immediately. Sir, in all my 3 attempts, public administration was not the last, was a different ball game altogether, sir. But in the other 2 attempts, I also cleared. In my second attempt, I was in railway traffic services. In my third attempt, I was in Indian Revenue Services, Customs and Central Excise. In both these attempts, I was there in the list because of my marks in public administration. So that's why I always say I am in services because of Ansari, sir. And after that, when issue of public administration was solved, I basically we started to think that this is not only about public administration. Sir's class is also regarding an approach to this examination, whether it be GS, whether it be ethics or parts of GS, whether it be essay, and 100% when it comes to public administration, I think sir is Gita, Quran, Bible, whatever you want to say for this examination, with especially regarding to public administration. Not discounting sir other efforts, but public administration is somewhat an exceptional area. So what this, the examination journey, what is this approach? This approach is understanding the dynamics of the examination. So basically why I got 47 and why my marks improved. It is not that I made less efforts in examination of 13, I say. Probably less, but not that less. But the approach is to adapt to the changing style of questions and examination paper. So people were teaching about examination pattern of 2012, 2011, 2010 when the questions were asked, how much public administration syllabus has been covered? First paper is finished, so okay. So I can use some terminology. So people were asking in test series, what is Taylor's way of management, Taylor's principles, straight direct questions. And when you read CSC papers of especially 13, 14, 15, these 3 years at least, sir, and especially 12. So if with this approach, it is hardly, I don't think anybody can answer even 10, 15, 20% of the questions. It is perhaps difficult to understand the demand of the question itself with that approach. So the approach is understand the pattern and always prepare some notches above that pattern. आप तैयारी मतलब यहाँ इस जमीन पे अगर पैटर्न है आप यहाँ करोगे तब तो आप एग्जाम में अटेम्प्ट करोगे. अगर जमीन का पैटर्न है और जमीन पे ही तैयारी कर रहे हो तो फिर तो हल्का सा भी अगर इफ अ लिटिल बिट डिफिकल्ट पेपर्स आर आस्क्ड इट विल बी डिफिकल्ट फॉर अस टू आंसर. So that is why I am here, because of sir. So one more thing, I have never seen, I'm not, my videos must be in Lukmaan, on Lukmaan's coaching's website. I am not saying this for the first time, but I have never seen someone guiding students so specifically even hours before the examination paper was scheduled. So it was December 2014, we were writing first attempt when we came to sir's classes. So Sir Avnindra, one of my friend who prepared with me, so he calls me, sir का message आया है कि ये कुछ pattern में change करना है. This is how the answers are to be written for some questions. तो I said why, अब तो सारी तैयारी हो गई, तो जो करना है कल करना है, जो होगा सो होगा. बट सर ने बोला है कि ये कुछ प्रेजेंटेशन में वर्क करना है क्वेश्चंस में, दिस विल बी डिफरेंट. एंड इन ऑल द सब्सिक्वेंट पेपर्स, in whether it be GS, whether it be not only content, not only understanding of the concept, but how to present your answers. One of my very good friend told me that in this examination, content is the king. I am comparing this examination to a game of chess. Content is the king. But you know, in chess, king has very limited movement, just one block everywhere. No? But presentation is the queen. So long as queen is there, your king is secured, so your content is secured. So presentation is very important. Nobody is there asking you in front. People are judging you by what you have written in the paper, on a piece of paper. So it has to be a presentable answer. It has to be rich of content, which is the core. So these all nitty-gritties we were not following. And so honestly, nobody told us. And we were not smart enough to figure this ourselves. So under sir's guidance, we were able to look into these nitty-gritties. And when you prepare like this, nobody, sometimes, I'm telling you, because sometimes we have like inferiority complexes. Arey exam to IIT, IIM, NIT, maybe by the way, I'm also from NIT. So I've just included NIT, so I'm not sound in a, from a lower standard college. But many inferiority complexes are circulated. This is a very difficult examination, indeed it is.
Yes, there is one inferiority complex in JITO. JITO, that is Jain community.
Yes.
In JITO, anyone who is from that, so JITO
Hostels.
there is, yes. Now there are good students, almost 100 plus, I guess. So it is circulated that those who are not from IIT, they do not have talent to qualify. They are not deserving candidates. Someone shared from JITO, those who are not IITians, they are not deserving candidates.
So on the right side of
but you
this,
can see NIT candidate is also deserving.
on the right side of your wall, the corner frame, 3 of my batchmates are there. Their photographs are there. None of them from our even NITs, I think. Yes, I'm sure no one from an NIT. So it is not true, and anybody can look out for the data. Data is available, so this is not much of an issue. So not only from academic perspective, but inferiority complexes like Hindi medium, English medium, that I am from, my school percentage was not good, I am not a good student. So these all, in my batch, other people are performing performing better than me, so I'll not be able to achieve. So many inferiority complexes are circulated, and actually we become victim of those inferiority complexes and ultimately lose out on preparation and eventually falter in the approach to this examination. So you have to really work hard. This is the absolute underlying fact that is to be done. And if you are ready to work hard, this is not an IIM admission where your probably school and passing graduation percentage will harm you. Nothing will harm you if you are ready to work hard from now on and prepare for this examination in the way it requires. So all of you and anybody who's preparing for, say, the next attempt, I believe has an equal opportunity, because you all have time now. Suppose, I cannot say this for 2023 examination because people who have started preparing have obviously first mover advantage. But if I say all of you are preparing for 2024 and are dedicated to prepare for the next year examination, I think all of us are on equal footing, all of you are on equal footing for this examination. If we are willing to work hard, if we are willing to ignore all the gyan, because, right, sir, 4 or 5 years back, the issue was scarcity of information. Now the issue is abundance of information. There is so much of information, so much of information that people are confused. Actually, what is the right source?
It is making noise. I will take this. Tell them what is hard work, because I teach them that they are preparing for 2026. थोड़ा सा हार्ड वर्क बताओ और क्या होता है, because in market there is a ज्ञान that कि बस 3 months में qualify हो जाएगा.
I'll tell you what happened with us, because I frankly don't know anything else. I can only tell you my experience. So what is hard work? I came to this, we joined SIR's class in 2014, probably June, after the prelims. And no sir, August, September, October, no, joined in August, and only 3.5 months were left for the mains examination. That was the first time we joined. Attended SIR's crash course, completed public administration, gave the exam, got through, and started preparing again. Next year again took SIR's class. The content was the same, more or less, with a lot of variation because new topics were added, but basic structure was the same. But we ensured that we didn't miss a single class next time also, because we knew that we had to revise it, we had to understand the concepts, go much deeper where we were in 2014, because questions might be difficult. And we did almost the same class, wrote the same notes for a percentage of the syllabus, and continued with the same approach in 2016. In fact, sir told us, "Kya kar rahe ho?" But nobody can be sure of this examination. Nobody can boast to be, say, a master of particular subject, because this examination is very dynamic. You might be knowing a concept so well, but they will ask a different story related to that concept. So we have to keep evolving, keep preparing, keep working towards your goal, and never in this examination you should never think that, okay, this part of my syllabus is done, because it is never done. Because all those topics you have read, you can't be just writing your answers based on the static part. Unless you have understanding and you relate with the current development, I think answers will not fetch those marks, good marks. If you are writing about, say, Taylor's principle, and you are not talking about standardization techniques of modern day, what is O&M? You are cutting down, what is Taylor's methodology? You break down a work into many pieces and then plan for each piece, plan for each of those, and then you say this is the best way of doing a work. And many standardization techniques of the current day are also based on those techniques. Sir, McDonaldization और इस तरह के एग्जांपल्स आपको सर ने बताए होंगे, और भी 2-3 टर्म थे, अब थोड़ा सा सर भूल रहा हूँ सर. So not only this, but not only in the corporate sense, but also in government many things are happening. What is basically you see to some extent MIS based governance. You are for monitoring programs, you are setting out different targets and you are monitoring each thing and you are saying my scheme is running well. So you have to see the current schemes, and then you have to, don't be distracted. That voice is much less than what is coming from here. So no matter what, you have to understand that what you have read is the basic structure. Now you have to build your own concepts over it by relating it to the current affairs, by current happenings, the current policies, the current governance structure. And when you do so, you are really, I think you're really working hard on your subject, because you are not just confined with the static part of the syllabus. Sir will give you 100 examples and we were amazed that okay, इससे भी relate कर सकते हैं. In 2016 final attempt, public administration question came. Those who have seen the papers might relate. They asked between Home Ministry and Defense Ministry some question was there, paper 2, and
whether there should be coordination between,
yes, whether there should be coordination or not. So this was a question that came in 2016, and there was some question which was not this question in our search test series. And while explaining that answer in the classroom, sir told us that this earthquake happened in some place and these two ministries coordinated for the exercise. Then in that explanation, sir also told us that this is a paper 2 question, where is the public administration? Every GS paper knows. So until unless you mention thinkers like Guli Karvik, who long time have mentioned coordination through committees, because there are committees from these two ministries who coordinated that event. So why had I missed that class in 2016 thinking that I have to read the public administration part, why I need to waste my time? So I might not have scored well in that particular question. So it never stops. Never think you have become a master of public administration or GS, or if you're good, aim for better. If you're better, aim for best, though there is no best. But you have to keep improving, keep working hard. And with your competitors, don't have an inferiority complex. Try to motivate yourself. He is sitting or she is sitting in the same class. Why is he or she doing well? That's why I think sir अभी भी circulate करते होंगे. Best copies का culture है कि नहीं? है ना? तो best copies inferiority complex के लिए नहीं है. Learning के लिए है, motivation के लिए है. अब वो बेस्ट कॉपी आ जाए तो फिर वो मुंह छुपा के हम लोग बैठ जा रहे हैं तो लिख ही नहीं सकते ऐसा. तो ये दिस विल बी प्रॉब्लमेटिक. बट इफ वी
टेस्ट वाला एक्सपीरियंस क्या था थोड़ा?
कौन सा
टेस्ट वाला?
हाँ, सो टेस्ट वाज इन सर्च क्लास वर हॉरिफिक फॉर अस इनिशियली. Honestly, as I said, in 2013, sir, 47 was paper 1. और 2014 सर्च की क्लास, पहली टेस्ट सीरीज नंबर. अब व्हाट विल यू थिंक, इससे कैसे उठेंगे? और इसमें आई अंडरस्टूड सेट 15 to 20%, इसमें 5% ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस. एंड दैट्स व्हाई से इसमें 5% समझ में आ रहा था तो मुझे एग्जामिनेशन में 50% समझ में आ जाएगा अगर मैं इसको बियर कर लूंगा, पूरी टेस्ट सीरीज अटेंड कर लूंगा. बट अगर मैं इससे बॉक डाउन हो गया और मैंने आगे नहीं किया तो मैं इससे भी स्लाइड करूंगा. तो अब उसको हार्ड वर्क ये है कि
आजकल कल्चर अलग हो गया है. People don't want to bear that.
so why do you want to get high marks here? I think 2016 public administration paper was, I guess, on 7th of December, if I remember correctly, or somewhere near that, on probably 9th or 10th. We gave our last test here on perhaps on 22nd or 23rd of November, and we went back to our center's place where we were planning to give the examination, and copies were not checked. And my copy was checked by sir and given to me on a day before examination. फर्स्ट टाइम के हिसाब से अच्छा यूज कर रहा हूँ. सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट प्लेस ऑफ द कॉपी, और यहाँ पे सारे कमेंट्स लिखे हुए थे, और these all comments were the faults in the examination paper. Now one approach could have been that why to demotivate, but I think sir's approach I always preferred and we always liked because it was about honesty. You should know what you can do and where your fault, basically doing fault, and why you are not doing it well. So I think I preserve that copy. I have a scanned copy of that. I keep it always with me, and it had this is wrong, 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 or perhaps 8 to 10 lines of this is wrong. But last line said, I know you are capable of doing much, much, much better, and you can do. Just change some things I have written as per this, and I don't remember exactly, but this was the main concept. So after all the demotivation, there was also motivation. So it was a traditional way of motivation. Motivation की theories पढ़ ली होगी ना आपने सुना. और एक modern way भी था motivation का. तो carrot और stick दोनों था उसमें. So honesty, you should know. यहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा I will not say in one of I should not say rather because it's not a good thing, but here false praise, false appreciation, scoring good marks in test series and being happy about it, you should feel positive about it, you should feel good from inside. But हो गया काम, अरे गजब चल रहा है, हर टेस्ट में अच्छा नंबर आ रहा है, उससे क्या होगा? आपका फाइनल तो एक ही नंबर जोड़ना है, पेपर 1 पेपर 2 ऑफ द अटेम्प्ट यू विल गिव. दीज आर ऑल स्टेप्स. तो इस स्टेप्स को सीखना है इससे. यू हैव टू लर्न एट एवरी स्टेप, यू हैव टू लुक एट द फीडबैक दैट सर इज गिविंग, एंड डोंट. आई हैव सीन मेनी पीपल, व्हाई यू आर आर्ग्यूइंग हियर, सर यू हैव गिवन 5 marks here, I could have got 7 marks here. What will you do with those 2 marks in the test series? And can you argue after your marks are out in the CSE paper? Do you know it might be a case that you have one of your questions have not been checked? So, but no, you cannot argue. The score is there. So we should think that certain things are under our control and certain things are beyond our control. And here I'll relate to the next thing that I want to say. The fear, particularly in public administration, I have not followed some recent papers, but in our times, and perhaps it is true for today also, the fear was always that public administration paper will ask this, will ask that, how I'll prepare for this, how will I prepare for that. Oh, this is not, I'm not approaching it properly. So can you control what can be asked in the paper? So that this thing is not under your control. This thing is under someone else's control over whom you have no control. So you have control over your preparation, your best preparation, your weaknesses that you can improve, how you can perform better. So think about those. This can be true for every optional. And in fact, there are many examples. whether it be geography or in many other options, or in fact the GS. And essay, last year essay paper, somebody gave me the essay paper. I was shocked. I was literally struggling to choose two options. So, but you don't have any control. And this is true for each and everyone. The paper will be the same. So, we should not get bogged down. We should not think, or we should not waste much of time over this. घंटों डिस्कशन करने से इसमें क्या मिलेगा? अरे आजकल तो पेपर बहुत खराब आ रहा है. क्या होगा इससे? कुछ नहीं होगा. ये हम लोग कर सकते हैं डिस्कस, या जो कोचिंग में कर सकते हैं डिस्कस, बट एस्पिरेंट्स को डिस्कस करने से इससे कुछ होगा नहीं. देन we are all concerned by the so-called tough questions in the examination paper. I was also concerned. So me and Avneet came to sir and asked for the first time कि sir इस question का आंसर कैसे लिखेंगे? And again I'll tell you honestly, this was 2013 attempt. There was some question relating to e-governance and e-government. I think
Governmentality.
I think the guy who wrote this question paper might also not know what he has written in this question paper. And I asked सर सर वो 10 मार्क्स वाला नहीं, 15 मार्क्स का बड़ा सा क्वेश्चन था. सो वी आस्क्ड सर कि सर इसमें क्या होगा, और एक पहले का भी क्वेश्चन हम पूछ रहे थे कि सर इसमें तो बहुत टफ क्वेश्चन कैसे होगा. तो सर टोल्ड मी ये तो मुझे भी नहीं पता है. आई एम टीचिंग पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन फॉर लास्ट 5-6 years. आई ऑल्सो डोंट नो. सो वाई आर यू बॉदर्ड ओवर दोज क्वेश्चंस? These are 10 questions, you know what you have done with those. Have you been able to achieve 60-70% marks in those questions? Have you written those answers well? Because those questions you knew. But वो जब पेपर पढ़ेंगे हम एग्जामिनेशन में तो 3 क्वेश्चन चलता रहेगा दिमाग में. 18, 19, 20 तो आ ही नहीं रहा. 18, 19, 20 तो आ ही नहीं रहा. जीएस के लिए भी ठीक है. 18, 19, 20 तो समझ ही नहीं आ रहा. और तब तक 17 का क्या हल कर रहे हैं? तो we always are confused with what we don't know. We should do the best we can with the questions we know, the fields which we know better.
Yeah,
So-
it is a mentality which we highlight, and he is also highlighting. It is a very bad mentality of students that they are more concerned about what they do not know. They never ask to themselves ki what they have done in the questions which they know. And certainly they are not doing better in the questions they know. The question which are easy, like say public account committee. So public account committee, repeated question they ask, keep asking. Or any parliamentary committee question they keep asking in GS also and public ed also.
वो विल्डवास्की के एक कोट के लिए 10 मार्क्स के लिए बहुत चिंता है कि जो समझ में नहीं आ रहा, या जिसका आंसर हमें लगता है कि हमें अच्छे से नहीं आता. लेकिन जो पीएससी का 15 मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन आया हुआ है, या फिर डेवलपमेंट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का आया हुआ है, या फिर O&M का ही आया हुआ है, और मेनी अदर टॉपिक्स इन पेपर 1, पेपर 2. सो वी शुड बी इन जनरल कंसर्न्ड अबाउट, वी शुड ट्राई टू डू द बेस्ट वी कैन विद दोस आंसर्स, एंड देन write what we can to the best of our ability in the answers which we are confused or somewhat where we don't know it at all. So we give examples of GS2 paper 2016. Last question, 20th, was McBride Commission, and I thank God that I didn't read the entire questions earlier before starting the paper. Otherwise in my entire 3 hours I would be bothered, अरे McBride क्या है, McBride क्या है, McBride क्या है. So I think 80-90% would not have known McBride Commission. So it did not matter one question. आप बाकी 19 में improve करो, उसमें scope है. 17 आता है उसमें अच्छा करो, बाकी 2 weak लिख दो. But जो 17 आता है उसमें बाकियों से excel करना है. तो जो आपको आता है, what you know, you should answer in that way, in that manner, so that it compensates for what you don't know and what you are what you know somehow and what you know something and what you don't know absolutely. So that is where approach matters. Approach क्या है examination को? So these are approach bits and pieces of approaches of examination that I told, that I learnt under sir's guidance. So a little bit about public administration. I think probably you are the under the safest roof when it comes to public administration. Here earthquakes, tremor, tsunami will not and earthquakes, tsunami and tremors are basically CSE 2012, 13, 14 papers. when it comes to public administration. And if you see Prince's photo and many other people photo, people have exceeded even under those difficult circumstances. So if you have even a slightest inferiority complex related to public administration, related to CSC, related to any other aspect of this examination, you have to do away with it if you want to excel in this examination. नहीं तो आप तय कर लो कि देना है कि नहीं देना है. अगर inferiority complex के साथ pursue करोगे तो हो सकता है आप harm कर रहे हो अपने आप को.
That is what I keep testing them every day. By posing alternative question.
So आप 16 का पेपर देखोगे, 17, 18, 19, 20, तो अब आप सोच लो कि अब तो पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑप्शन आसान हो गया. बट एनी डे 2012 कैन बी रिपीटेड, एनी डे 2013, 14 कैन बी रिपीटेड. सो आई some students called me from SIRS whom many students asked me the coaching for public administration. I referred them to SIRS. And when they write SIRS test series, they ask me, sir तो बहुत difficult question पूछ रहे हैं सर, हमको समझ ही नहीं आता, हमारा तो motivation करके है. तो मैं I say to them what I am saying right now, that why do you want to get motivated by scoring high here? Here you are writing test series for preparation, not for selection or scoring. So preparation has to be difficult. Preparation has to be some notches north of your actual examination. But यहीं पे आप इसको ही चैलेंज मान लियो कि हमारा तो एंड यही है. सो दे आस्क मी कि सर का क्वेश्चन बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, मैंने समझाता हूँ, फिर दोबारा करते मैं कहूँ छोड़ दो, अब इससे ज़्यादा सर व्हाट एनीबॉडी विल से.
जबकि अभी डिफिकल्ट नहीं है
सर.
वी हैव चेंज. वो तो अगर 13-14 का क्वेश्चन है, देख लेंगे हमारे टेस्ट पेपर का.
एंड
अभी तो बहुत ही सिंपल हो गया है पेपर. वी आर आल्सो फ्रेमिंग वेरी सिंपल पेपर. मेनी टाइम वी आर अफेक्टेड बाय देम कि छोड़ देगा. So, but you cannot frame question honestly. Seeing the candidates, then you have to see the UPSC.
Yes, the pattern has to be seen, and not only a year pattern. It has to be some over the years. What has
basically they see the last year pattern, no? But we see the last
10 years, 15 years pattern.
15 years, no? The last year pattern, if you see, the paper may be simple, but if you see 10 years pattern, then you have to be average, taking all those 10 years. So paper cannot be framed as per the last year as the base. नहीं तो वही जीडीपी का जो बेस होता है वैसे ही. So, but some people do not understand. We have survived. Right.
So,
but nowadays it has increased. क्योंकि मार्केट में आंसर राइटिंग जो डेली आंसर राइटिंग का कल्चर आया है.
अच्छा सर, ये why you need to write answers daily? From the first day of preparation, you are writing answers. At least first we have to go through the basic things. Study the core, study the basic static part at least. We don't know Taylor and we are writing question on Taylor. So we are killing time, we are doing nothing. Answer writing is extremely important. Answer writing is the queen of this examination. When I related to the chess examination, I am continuing with that. But without king, क्या करोगे आप? आपके बोर्ड पे किंग ही नहीं है सर. क्वीन आप कहाँ चलाओगे? क्वीन will be restricted. तो first step is king, content. Without it, everything is zero. So until unless you know thinkers, you know development administration, you know rigs. If you don't know these concepts and you try to write answer daily by seeing कि किस वेबसाइट पे आज कौन सा क्वेश्चन पड़ा है, लाओ शाम को समय खाली लिख लिया जाए. So I'd suggest that we should give 10 minutes of time for reading that thinker.
Actually now market is flooded with this daily answer writing practice. Though, so it is so overwhelming that it becomes difficult for the candidates to ignore it.
So in my opinion, and sir, what I have learned, sir, probably now people can say old school also, sir, but answer writing is most important after you have given pre and you are preparing for mains. That 3 months you should extremely work hard on your answer writing, because by that time it is expected that you have gone through your entire syllabus, and now in 3.5 months time, or 3 months now, 3.5 months, I say roughly, you will be giving mains. So we wrote 12 and in some years 15 public administration tests. So 15 is basically almost 4 per month. So in 3 months, almost 4-5 tests per month, which is almost every weekend.
Nowadays 10 tests in test program.
So I think that is quite sufficient, and by just answer writing nothing can happen. If you are appearing for test series, the answer writing has to be in the limited amount of time.
आजकल ओपन बुक हो गया.
ओपन बुक सर तो 3 घंटा तो पेपर
ऑनलाइन हो गया है पेपर. तो दिस इज ओपन बुक. ये बगल वाला जो कमरा है ठीक है.
in so it has to be seen when you are writing test series, we have to be very honest with it, although this will be important for you later.
Nowadays people write test in 4 hours, 5 hours.
So there's no point. You are basically de-preparing.
You know what perception they have made? Students, 3 घंटा में complete ही नहीं होगा. Not I'm talking about them. I'm talking about those who are writing men's test program, let's say. They are the from foundation. Men's test के जो students हैं, they have developed a perception कि this paper we cannot complete in 3 hours.
अब suppose a person who writes in 4 hours and scores the highest in test series here, I don't see, or in fact, it should be of general opinion that it is basically mirage of success.
ठीक है.
Because there is no point. There you will only get 3 hours, and you have to write good answers under that limited amount of time, feeling the very same pressure that will be in this examination. Time is a pressure. Time is running. You see your watch, 10 minutes have gone, and you have not understood what this Weber question is about, what this Weber question is. And if you think I have 4 hours, so many people can think. So time का pressure का आंसर समझना, in all seriousness attempt करना टेस्ट को, और उस लिमिटेड टाइम में टेस्ट के लिए प्रिपेयर करना. You have to prepare for test, write test in limited point of time, and perhaps after writing, the discussion on those papers is very, very important. Because
nowadays this culture is also disappearing. Discussion.
In my opinion, if we answer a question and we attended sir's discussion on that question, so that question is immaterial, because in 99.99 probability, sir, that question will not be asked. But when you attend sir's class or sir's discussion class, it is perhaps the Mahabharata type of class. In our times, it used to run 8-9 hours also, and sometimes only with a very 10-minute, 15-minute break. But if you attended sir's discussion class, you are not only discussing that question. With the content you have and what sir is telling you, I think you are revising the entire topic, that particular topic.
That was also the purpose. Because by that way, by default, people will revise. Also. It develops a perspective also.
And you by repeated discussions, you understand okay, how all questions should be approached. What is the basic underlying thing? What is the meaning of different terminology? Illustration, critically examine, discussion, examine, elucidate. अगर इस सब में, if we don't know the difference between these two terms and we are writing answers, it is the entire presentation will be faltering. If the illustration is there, illustrate, tailors scientific principles of management by just random questions. And for each principle, if I am not giving examples, so how I am illustrating? If it is saying examining, I am not examining the faults of the theory the theorist had. So what am I doing? And my answers, presentation and flow will be basically governed by the keywords of the question. So that is how discussion helps you. Not only in content, revision, but perspective, how to answer, what are the terms, and where you have done wrong, where others have done better. And sometimes questions are based out of context, and we don't understand that context. Somewhere behind the question is a context, but we don't understand that context, and we are rewriting, and again we lose marks on that. So these are basically nitty-gritties of things in answer writing which we can improve by evaluating our answers, by attending discussion programs, SIR's discussion program. So until unless we evaluate what we have written, we rethink it, then only we can improve. Otherwise, we'll just be writing. So natural improvement, incremental improvement will always happen. Natural improvement, incremental improvement, what we all to say. But वो big bang change नहीं होगा. वो तभी होगा जब हम devote time करेंगे discussion को, चीज़ों को समझेंगे, अपने approach को clear करेंगे, तब जाके improvement होगा. तो these things, answer writing का जो package है, it is not just plainly going and writing answers. It is writing answers in the very same format in which we'll be doing ultimately in the examination, and then evaluation of your, because एक आपने टेस्ट लिखा या दो लिखा, फिर उसके बाद डिस्कशन हुआ, और तब आप उस डिस्कशन के माइंड से गए और अगले अटेम्प्ट को, अगले टेस्ट को अप्रोच किया, तो उसमें आपको अपना इंप्रूवमेंट दिखेगा. अगर आपने आज टेस्ट लिखा और फिर कल का टेस्ट लिखे, फिर तीसरा टेस्ट लिखा, तो आप इंप्रूव क्या कर रहे हो? Until unless हम अपने आप को चेक नहीं कर रहे हैं, we are not evaluating ourselves, how will we improving? So that becomes very important. So whatever I have told for public administration, most of it is true for this examination per se, and that is I say कि sir कि approach बहुत important है.
They are at foundation stage, so how can you help them in what they should do at foundation stage?
So foundation stage, I think sir, many people with whom I have interacted, I have interacted with very few, I must say, but we cannot avoid reading books. There are few books related to public administration that sir must have told you that we should read. And foundation course is perhaps the best time to devote time to those books. Because you read the book, you will not understand anything. You will come to sir's class, you will understand something. Then you will read the book, you will understand more. So मोहित भट्टाचार्य की पता नहीं अभी वो ब्लैक और पिंक स्ट्रिप वाली चल रही है, ब्लैक एंड पिंक स्ट्रिप, या चेंज हो गई होगी. सो पहली बार 2-3 चैप्टर पढ़ा तो कुछ समझ ही नहीं आया.
अब ग्रीन हो गया.
अब ग्रीन हो गया सर. तो इन्वायरमेंट फ्रेंडली अप्रोच. तो उसको पढ़ा, फिर सर का कोर्स पढ़ा, और प्लीज many notes will be available, but what notes you are writing is very, very important. Because when you listen and write, I think the understanding is much, much better than when you only listen or when you only write. Because sir might be telling 4 sentences. कुछ communication loss हुआ होगा, कुछ आपने कम सुना होगा, then you have written. So 10-15-20% loss तो वहीं हो गया. फिर आप उसको रिवाइज करोगे तो आपको याद आएगा कि आज क्लास में क्या पढ़ा था. तो आप जो पढ़ के अपना नोट्स बनाते हो, योर नोट्स, एंड एटलीस्ट मतलब वी somehow we were in good company. So I saw people, they were writing each and everything the sir was telling. So we'll write, suppose फ्रेडरिक्स चल रहा है, फ्रेडरिक्स का लिख लिया जो सर ने बताया. Then sir told us many examples that were relevant. तो धीरे धीरे examples लिख लिए. So whatever sir told we used to write. तो वहाँ पे तो समझ में आ गया. But अब ये सर ये वहाँ पे समझ में आ गया, but we are humans, we will forget things. So फाउंडेशन कोर्स के हिसाब से आपको नोट्स बनाने पड़ेंगे, और फिर जब सर के नोट्स बन जाते हैं तो वो खुद में एक किताब बन जाते हैं. And after that book, when I went to sir, sir told me इसके भी snippets बनाओ, क्योंकि एग्जामिनेशन के पहले तो वो भी बुक नहीं पढ़ पाओगे. तो जब पहला नोट बनेगा तो आप पहली बार पढ़ रहे हो तो इतना नोट्स बनेगा, जब दूसरी बार उसका स्निपेट्स बनेगा तो वो समरी बनेगा, क्योंकि ये रिवाइज हो सकता है, ये नहीं रिवाइज हो सकता. देन वॉट एवर यू, आप नोट्स मेकिंग को इंप्रूव करना बहुत जरूरी है. 2-3 साल लग गए, परहैप्स वो फाइनल ईयर में थोड़ा बहुत इंप्रूव हो पाया. सो स्टैटिक पोर्शन प्लीज यू राइट, एंड देन ऑलवेज लीव a page or two after every topic. And when you are preparing this examination, you should know your syllabus well. Each and every line आपके thought में रहनी चाहिए कि क्या है वो line, whether it be public administration, whether it be GS. And when you read current affairs, when you read magazines, you should develop a habit that if I am reading something, suppose if I am reading अबाउट सम इशू, सोसाइटल फ्लक्स है, इसमें मॉडर्निटी भी है, इसमें ट्रेडिशनल भी दिख रहा है, कोई इवेंट हो गया ऐसा, सो हैव आई इमीडिएटली वेंट टू बाय नोट्स जीएस में और वो इवेंट लिख दिया एक लाइन में, एग्जांपल ये इवेंट. हैव आई वेंट टू फ्रेडरिक्स, वो ट्रांजिशन की बात करता है, प्रिमिटिव, प्रिज्मेटिक, डिफ्यूज्ड, डिफेक्टेड. सो वो वहां पे नोट्स में ऐड किया क्या? तो प्रिमिटिव बहुत पुरानी हो गई, तो बीच वाली सोसाइटी तो सोसाइटल फ्लक्स में ही रहेगी, तो वो इवेंट वहां ऐड किया क्या? तो अगर मुझे अपना सिलेबस याद है तो मैं अपने सिलेबस में नोट्स बनाते हैं, आई लीव सम, आई राइट डाउन द नोट्स ऑफ सर्च क्लास, ऑफ जीएस में खुद से पढ़ के जो बेसिक नोट्स बनाया, देन आई लीव सम पेजेस just to add flavor of current affairs to those topics. And when you have amalgamation of such notes, basically you are attempting your answers on static as well as the dynamic part. You are answering questions by relating it to various topics, but that then can only this can only happen after you have seriously read the syllabus. पहले से नहीं होगा अभी, और अभी मैंने अगर सिर्फ सिलेबस पढ़ लिया O&M, तो मैं when I have read O&M, when I have read Taylor, when I have read Riggs, or when I have read suppose GS1 पेपर, GS2 पेपर, बेसिक कंटेंट पढ़ लिया, उसके बाद मैं जो नोट्स पढ़ रहा हूँ वो मेरे लिए करंट अफेयर्स के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है. तो एक नोट्स मेकिंग की फाउंडेशन से हैबिट अगर डेवलप हो जाएगी, इट विल बी वेरी गुड. देन फाउंडेशन कोर्स के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, यू हैव टू मच ऑफ टाइम, सो वी शुड नॉट,
that's why they are not reading.
Yes, so we should not land ourselves in a situation that we will only read when we will only cross the bridge when it comes, so फिर you are as good as a crash course. So ideal time of preparation is right now. You can devote time to book reading, you can devote time to going deeper into concepts of thinkers, you can relate topics of different papers of public administration. So these all things, because you have time, you can devote. 4-5 months of public administration prepare is at least required for basic. So you have time for that. You should devote your time for this, and not think that I'll prepare as good as crash course, because that will not help. Then there's no point in going for foundation course. So use your time wisely. And ideal for, in my opinion, that the preparation of mains should happen first. Then perhaps nowadays prelims are quite tricky, so I'll say you should devote more time. So 4-5 months of prelims preparation. And once you have done with your prelims and if you're comfortable with your scum, then serious hard work and preparation time for a mission mode for those 3.5 months, where you are revising, where you are attending discussions, where you are answer writing, where you are trying to improve yourselves. That 3 months is basically March rush of financial propriety.
Someone is asking from online this, tell how you systematically planned. No. Then someone is asking about prelims. How you systematically planned?
No, honestly I didn't. I am very amazed with the second part. Once you yourself said you were highly planned, I don't think I never said that. If I have said that, it is a mistake. It is very difficult to be. It is very difficult in this examination to plan in integrity. You can plan your schedule. कि आज क्या पढ़ना है, इस हफ्ते क्या कवर करना है, ये सब थोड़ा बहुत हो सकता है. बट I was never that, personally my approach is not that of a serious planning approach, but it is very good where people are following, but it is approach to approach. But planning, if you can call it a planning, I don't know whether it is planning, ये तो सभी करते हैं. आपका ये टेस्ट है इस तारीख को और इस टेस्ट में ये टॉपिक्स हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली आई विल रिवाइज दोज टॉपिक्स बिफोर दैट टेस्ट. So this is, if you want to call it planning, okay, it is a planning of sorts, where you plan which test series will you give, main test series will you give, and according to this test series schedule, I am planning my revision schedule, because ultimately you have to plan your revision schedule, and then you have to prepare your notes for the revision part, as I said. So that bit of planning is okay, but if that person can elaborate what is mean by systematic planning, otherwise not much planning than that.
Someone is asking a light question, how you deal with politicians? Superiors.
Since we are reading neutrality right now.
So
basically, I was teaching neutrality.
So neutrality, Weberian neutrality, I don't think anybody is following, and I think neutrality has evolved. So in this day of social media, Weberian neutrality is almost dead. So if
In
you are
practice. लिखना नहीं है.
so but where neutrality is important with regard to biases. I think three things broadly should govern your actions, which is fact, laws, and constitution. That is neutrality. Of modern way of saying neutrality, I am not biased by this view or that way of thinking or that way of thinking. I am looking at the facts, I am looking at the circumstances of the issue, I know my laws, and I know the broader constitutional setting. So anything under this is neutrality. And then there are in this day of social media posting and everything, I think that is broadly a area of basically code of conduct, probably where some things might need to change, but that is not relevant to this course per se. I think we should not overthink over that, because in this particular foundation course, and anybody who is appearing, this question should not come to your mind. Your only goal should be related to this examination and planning for this examination and approaching this examination. Deal with politicians, I think, see...
you have not faced like this.
No, sir, but my worldview has changed, sir. Somehow, we have always... somehow there is a feeling that we are more moral, ethical, and perhaps better than
Politicians.
But we are all products of our society, and there are equally good, bad, and ugly people in every flock. And people should be judged by the circumstances in which they are. So with that approach, you should deal with politicians. But I have problem with this phrase of dealing with politicians. Basically, the people have been, in democracy, I think ultimately elected people are superior than permanent executive. So I think you should know your work profile, you should know, as I said, your neutrality, and you should give your advice accordingly. and you have to be practical also, because there is no point being impractical, because impractical, I am saying, just to give you an example, rigidity with laws is not good. If people are demanding some work to be done, approach should be finding a method to do that work under the legal framework that is there. Just saying because it is not written will not do it is rigidity, but finding a way is required. So if you find that, if you tend to find this way, I think most of the issues will be solved and you will not have to deal with it.
People generally remain in, so many posts have been written by now. Nowadays prelims, then classes are going on 3 to 4 times someone is revising. I believe isn't enough. मैं फिर भी भूल she still forgets.
So
Revision
nowadays
plan.
prelims so difficult, so how we should approach, say something about prelims. Prelims is indeed, it has changed, and I agree with the broader sentiment that it is perhaps on the tougher side compared to previous year papers, especially when we were giving. But so as the I think cutoff is also coming down. But I think in prelims, I have seen that with bestest of the preparation, I was never able to answer 40-50% of the questions straight away. Like out of 150 questions, I know this is the answer. A, B, C, D, आप उसमें से कोई भी option रख दो, I'll say this is the answer. With the best of preparation, it might be your first or second or third attempt. But in prelims again, approach of exclusion is very important. Now, after there will be some questions which you know answer is this. Then after that there will be questions where you will be confused 50-50, that either the answer is this or this. So in that approach becomes very important. So when you attempt test series, you see that in those questions where I was confused between two options, how I am excluding, how I am using my other knowledge. एक कंटेंट नॉलेज हो गया, आपने पढ़ लिया ज्योग्राफी का, फिर आपने ये क्वेश्चन आपसे पूछा, तो आपने क्या ऑप्शन जिसमें आप कंफ्यूज थे एक्सक्लूड कैसे किया उस ऑप्शन को, बिकॉज इट इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू, आई थिंक लास्ट ईयर का कट ऑफ सर 100-102 ऐसे कुछ फिल्म्स में, इफ आई रिमेंबर लेस था. तो you need marks of, say broadly, let's say take an example, you need marks of 50 questions, 15 to 200 suppose the cutoff. So अब मुझे 40 आता है सीधा सीधा, तो मैं ये कह सकता हूँ I'm at 80, but still I am not qualifying. And one may be that I will not attempt any further questions, but I believe 80 अगर cutoff नहीं आया तो I will not qualify. So now I will have to take risk, calculated risk. So वो calculated risk preparation के part में आना चाहिए, test series evaluation के test series देते वक्त आना चाहिए कि in those questions where I am confused between options, how I am performing, उसमें आपको जो risk taking वाला option है उसमें आपको you have to perform like this, that ultimately you end up taking that 20 marks extra, because you have to attempt those questions that positive minus negative you should at least get 20. So that is basically a part of exercise while attempting your test series, how you are excluding other options, how you are there is use of not only the say the content knowledge. Sometimes questions are asked where you use your content knowledge and then by current affairs, okay, this was this event happened, so this is not related to this. So basically वो जो पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में होल ऑफ गवर्नमेंट अप्रोच है, कभी कभी उस टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस में होल ऑफ प्रिपरेशन अप्रोच लग जाता है सर, कि ये मैंने ये भी पढ़ा था लेकिन इससे ये ऑप्शन एक्सक्लूड होता है. तो वो एक बेसिकली पार्ट ऑफ मसल मेमोरी डेवलप होता है जब आप टेस्ट सीरीज अटेम्प्ट करते हो. यू राइट अ लॉट ऑफ टेस्ट सीरीज, सो दैट थिंग्स कम, दैट ट्रेनिंग कम्स, that you try to answer those questions and get remaining marks for qualification.
Someone is asking your help. Last message. He is not getting his caste certificate. Can you help? Another basic question is कि basically they remain in doldrum that since they are in beginning that when how much time they should devote for GS preparation and for optional. That is also when you beginning you start preparation. In that stage how you had this.
So, in general, if you see, each and every paper is of equal marks, 250 marks. But so one can say you should devote your time equally. But in optional, I think percentage-wise you have more chances of scoring higher percentage of marks. So that's why we gave more time to optional. Say in a 10-month preparation, I'll say roughly 5 and 6, 4, 60% of my time to optional and 40% of time to GS, because a part of the GS is also covered in your optional when it comes to public administration. Same is true for other humanities optional, but I'll say a large part of GS2 and GS4 are covered under public administration. So giving good amount of time is very important to public administration. And with optional, this is also it is important that optional in GS you can be very generalistic with your answers. So there less amount of time might not harm you. But if you end up giving less time to your optional, you will end up writing journalistic answers in your GS, in your optional paper also, and that is basically tragedy. That will harm. So because optional is sometimes you are not in that field. I am an engineer by my background. I have studied mechanical engineering, but I had no knowledge of public administration as a subject. So I had to devote more time to understand the concepts. So that's why most of the people who are appearing are choosing subjects which are outside their original fields. That is why I prefer giving more time to optional, and I'll say roughly 65-35 or 60-40 ratio as per my experience within optional and general studies.
Someone is asking keywords in answers.
So I think I discussed that keywords are basically your pathways to answer that question. Suppose there are 10 दिशाओं में एरो है ना, 4-5 एरोज आ रहा है, तो आपको किस डायरेक्शन में चलना है इस क्वेश्चन पे. दैट सो 10 दिशाएं समझ लो, क्रिटिकली एग्जामिन, डिस्कशन, इलैबोरेट, इलुसिडेट. सो किस डायरेक्शन में इस आंसर को ले जाना है. इलस्ट्रेशन का है तो मैं इस तरीके से आंसर करूंगा, इसमें मेरे एग्जाम्पल्स आएंगे. क्रिटिकली एग्जाम्पल है तो मैं इसमें प्रॉस कॉन्स एनालिसिस करूंगा, फिर अपना ओपिनियन दूंगा. So that is why keywords are very important. Each and every keyword should be understood, and keywords plus the content, the core of the question. Then you understand the demand of the question basically. If you are looking at the keyword and if you are looking at the core thing of the question, you understand the demand of the question, and then you answer the question in that direction. So that is I have already discussed. So just I'll say on that.
Someone is asking your any wisdom you experience during preparation. What you learned from your preparation?
So a life lesson basically. Okay. The interviewer type of question. But see,
which is relevant for preparation.
Yes, it is. So basically, as I said, why I mentioned inferiority complexes. Why I mentioned demotivation, because these are the things that we were also facing. Now it's not the environment, but that time environment was created that those with public administration are doomed to only die in the examination. So, in fact, good ranks, I think, leaving apart 1 or 2 was probably a dream, sir. Especially in 13, 14, 16 paper was much better, but with that environment of, I will say, negativity towards your optional that you have chosen. So how to counter that negativity, how to keep improving.
Where means whether ever it came in mind, there are 2 questions. One, whether optional is right, I have taken. Second, should I quit when people face challenge, when things are not working in favor. So both questions are different. Coming in mind that it is whether I have taken a right decision, or whether it is a right optional, good optional, or whether I can do. Coming in mind ki should I quit? So whether that, let's say that
Sir,
things.
honestly, with the environment that was prevailing at that time, it did come to our mind that we should change our option. But perhaps I was lazy enough to consider that option, that I have to read the entire optional again. And then at the end of the day, that we decided, okay, that we have chosen this optional, we'll try to perform whatever best we can do with that optional. Ultimately, you have to decide, because there is no best decision. Can you say anthropology is a better option? Can you say sociology is a better option? Eventually, you will have to settle with an option and then improve on that optional. So ultimately, every decision will be this only. Because if you are writing and if you are not confident with your optional that I'll prepare for this optional, no matter what happens, I'll put my best effort for this optional. So that has to be the approach. Coming in mind, yes sir, it did, because of the environment.
You can see that ki even the person who has secured highest for, he has highest since 2016. Right, 334. No, it remains highest. And we say generally it will not be broken. Before that, Prince had highest. No.
393 out of 600.
Yes. So the person who secures highest, he also went through such kind of.
So it is very
dilemma.
natural.
But the takeaway is that you have to do your best. That you should know that. Yes. No.
Honestly and practically, there is no other option. Because a time will come where you'll have to take a call or yes or no with that option. So better take it earlier.
Someone is asking how to retain. Right.
Don't know. I practically, honestly, don't know answer to this question. But it is very individualistic actually. People have higher retaining power. So some people might read once and remember it for a longer period of time. And those who have issues with retaining power probably need more revision. Otherwise, I don't know for any other techniques. Revision, I should say, you need to revise it more often. You need to, basically, for revision, a very related to this question, some things you can know generally. That concept क्या है, ये thinker कहना क्या चाह रहा है, what this thinker is telling about, what is the philosophy of this thinker. These things are general. Then you can frame your way of saying it. But some things are particular to that thinker, and that has to be by heart. So अगर टेलर में लिखूंगा और वन बेस्ट वे नहीं लिखूंगा तो मैं मिस आउट कर रहा हूं, क्योंकि वो बहुत कोर है. देन मैं अगर मैरी पार्कर फोले का लिखूंगा और मैं ये लिखूंगा कि शी वॉज मच अहेड ऑफ हर टाइम्स, ब्रॉडली स्पीकिंग, तो कुछ जो है वो थिंकर स्पेसिफिक हैं टर्म्स, और कंटेंट में भी ऐसे कई जगह हैं. सो फॉर दैट यू नीड टू रिटेन इट वेरी वेल. Principle or theory or philosophy, basically, you need to understand as a concept. There you can basically frame your way of saying it. But some things need to be actually reproduced. So that is why it is very important. That is why we are talking about snippets. Snippets were basically, revision snippets were basically the keywords, the core words that we ought to use when we are writing those thinkers as per the demand of the question.
Any question on your side?
Sir, ethics के लिए
पब्लिक एड हो गया?
See, to tell you very honestly, I was dependent on sir. So I joined the ethics course and followed a book or two, partly. Those were, sir, at those times only two or three books were there. So followed those books, and then based upon sir's class notes and what was taught in the class. And again, ethics as a subject is that where after studying this, you can write you can use your knowledge from basically when you have started studying. पंचतंत्र की कहानी से लेके गीता महाभारत से लेके anything that you can remember, you can use your in ethics paper. It should fit in. It should fit.
Grandmother ने जो भी सिखाया.
Yes, it should fit as per the demand of the question, obviously, but you can use those things. These are very relevant examples when it comes to answer writing, especially the initial, not the. सर अभी भी वो मीन्स और वो इवेल्युएशन ऑफ ऑप्शंस वाला आ रहा है, तो जो स्टैटिक वाला पोर्शन है उसके लिए तो ये जो आपका बेसिक नॉलेज है, जो स्टोरीज का, जो मॉरल प्रिंसिपल्स का, जो अपने यहाँ माइथोलॉजी है या अपने यहाँ जो थियोलॉजी है कह लो, इन सब के कंसेप्ट्स भी बहुत अच्छे से यूज़ किए जा सकते हैं. सो इथिक्स में वी नीड टू बी ओपन टू options regarding examples from outside our teaching or say syllabus purview.
Vivekananda 2 times asked.
हाँ. So as such, Vivekananda, obviously Vivekananda ji is a great thinker, but syllabus में as such कहीं mention तो है नहीं.
Any other question?
Sir, what is the differentiator like that you think that you had while approaching the paper of 2016, for which you have ended up scoring such high?
I knew more straight away. I knew more. Perhaps I knew most of the questions that were asked in 2016. That was the first differentiator. And secondly, and most importantly, perhaps better than the first differentiator, is that that time, after 3 years of sir's hammering of things into our mind, we knew that how to approach the paper. So when I saw a paper, a question that I knew, I basically pounced on that like a tiger or lion will pounce on the piece of flesh that is thrown at it. So उसमें मैं अपना चार्ट भी बनाऊंगा, उसमें मैं अपना टेबल भी बनाऊंगा, उसमें मैं फ्लो चार्ट भी बनाऊंगा, उसमें मैं एग्जाम्पल भी दूंगा. So I'll give that variety of presentation, I'll give that element of example, I will give that element of my opinion, I'll narrate it to a current affair. I'll try to score well in that part. And in those questions which I am less confident about, or perhaps I know 60-70% or 40% of these questions, I'll straight away write simple things. Because when you don't know 30% or 40% of the questions and try to give examples, it might be counterproductive, because I might end up getting wrong examples. So basically, straight away, because it was a simpler paper compared to 13, 14, 15, so sir was basically over preparing the batch. So it helped. A lot of thinkers, this was perhaps the size of the notes of the list of thinkers that were mentioned in our syllabus, and this was the size of the notes that were the size of the notes of the thinkers that were outside the syllabus that was taught by sir. And 2 questions, in fact, also came from those notes.
Yes.
But so I said with that upper notch of preparation guided by
Basically,
sir.
that was the time when we started teaching extra things. So the way we have told you, we will teach you 10 classes after prelims for enrichment. So similarly, that time there used to be extra, let's say that classes for additional syllabus which was not known to people except teacher. I mean, there was a leaked syllabus.
Dark web syllabus.
So there was a leaked syllabus of UPSC which was supposed to be changed, but it was not changed, but they started asking questions from that syllabus. So there were some of the concepts which we taught additionally. And that year they asked questions lots. After 2016-17, they have stopped asking. We have also reduced teaching also. This.
So with perhaps experience of giving
But
2 attempts also.
It's let's say whatever he shares, but his answers are also on website if you can identify his name. But I guess his answers are also on website. No. Yes. So quality of answer will be like first answer, last answer would be of the same. Let's say that standard. ये नहीं कि लास्ट तक जाते जाते टाइम और एनर्जी खत्म हो गया. Right. And nowadays people put this is आजकल हैबिट है, बच्चे आजकल क्या लिखते हैं, इन्फॉर्मेशन लिखते हैं, कंटेंट नहीं लिखते हैं, इन्फॉर्मेशन लिखते हैं. इन्फॉर्मेशन मतलब a set of points they write. This, but that time are still we teach the classical culture. The classical culture is that कि information you put in rectangle. जो भी आपको facts आता है rectangle में mention कर दो. उसके बाद still you have left for content. But nowadays what students are doing, जो rectangle में आना चाहिए वो पूरा आंसर है उसका. This, so that is classical answer writing, which few candidates do still.
And with the attempt of 2016 also, because search test series I still believe were quite tough that year also. So we went on to net and then we researched the questions that sir was asking. So we also ended up studying the same pamphlet that probably sir was reading for framing that question. So with the added time, because we already had 2 years of preparation, so we had some say space to I think to
See extra things. So we read UN report of administration, so whole of government approach and some very beautiful examples. Then read the entire ARCs, which we also have read earlier, but basically read it by heart, knew most of the things at times. So reading of ARCs and other committees' reports and reproducing those things at the relevant portions of the syllabus. So that helped. Yes, any question?
Sir, usually it has been said that everything looks rosy from one side, but then has it been for you? Or how has been your administrative journey?
So the glamour of the examination and the ultimately if you end up being on the list, so with the scenario that is prevailing, there will be glamour associated with it. But glamour will last for say some time. Then you will be in your training, and then after that you will be exposed to work, and you will have to perform. Because clearing this examination once and thinking that it will feed you for the next 30-35 years is a wrong way of looking at this examination. You will need to clear this examination, like suppose you have cleared IIT, but the brand of IIT will probably give you a very good opportunity in a very big company to work, but you will only be there in that company when you perform. So you should look at this journey from that perspective, that this will a lot of hard work that is put into will probably land you in a most, I will say, the most satisfying, most beautiful job of the country. But then after a period of time you will have to do the job. So approach it that way. And yes, that is true. What you don't have is greener. Just put it simply. I might be envy of my friend who is working in Merrill Lynch in say Virginia, USA. He'll be envy of me, and we both might be envy of a friend who is playing poker in Thailand. So that is basically what you don't have is greener. So perhaps I'm the not the right person to. I have got the lowest marks in all my 7 subjects. I've got the lowest marks in my essay, but I can tell you from my failures. The highest I could achieve in essay was in the last attempt. It was I think 130. So thank you. So 130 was the maximum I got. And probably, basically, when you read too many of newspapers, you end up writing the editorials of a newspaper. So I think basically there was the fault. The essay has to be simple, lucid, and हम कोई भी चीज़ पढ़ते हैं, for example, अब हिंदू का editorial पढ़ेंगे तो किसी बड़े मतलब a nice gentleman who has good command over his language and is probably an expert in that field. That guy has written that piece. So you will enjoy the piece, but probably will not understand much in a single reading. So just to tell you, the essay should be such that I should be involved in my reading. मेरे से एक लाइन भी मिस नहीं होनी, मतलब मेरे को ऐसा लगना चाहिए कि स्टोरी चल रही है, यहाँ से चालू यहाँ खत्म हो गई.
It is a long piece of writing.
long piece of writing, and you should enjoy the reading. But if you write and read again, I was never able to read my essays. I was not good in essays. But there are a lot of people whose good essays are available. I think one should read it, how they write. They start with a variety of style. One style could be they'll write a story. They'll then go on the topic, explore its various aspects, and probably they'll beautifully end up writing the end of that story by relating it to the very first story that they wrote in the first paragraph. That is one way of writing. So there are many different ways of writing that people have tried and succeeded. I think you should
But
learn
you
from
should
those
also
techniques.
know it does not always work.
Yes, it should not always work. That depends upon, say, a particular topic.
Because a candidate, a story, one negative example, this is how running it is in essay nowadays. But some people can naturally create that story.
Artificial stories is
Some
what
people will
I
create
created. So.
artificially, does not suit to them. The candidate wrote, he used to write good essay, and he wrote that essay something wrong. Although he used to get good marks also in essay. One candidate. So he wrote one essay on federal polity. He started a story with mother and, let's say, son. Mother and son, they are having conversation. He started with that story. Then I told him, do you think that a son of 12 or 18 years old, does he have knowledge about federal polity? He will have a federal polity knowledge. That was the artificial story, basically.
So, sir, stories need to be organic and good. That is true, natural. So, but story writing is one way.
Story is one way. It is a well accepted. This is how it is one way. Some people can very naturally create it, but because they know the philosophy. But that, let's say,
So just to tell you a story, sir, one of my very good friends, sir also knows him. He is a very good. He's always got 160, 170. So just to ask this, you have asked this question. I'm telling this from his experience, a way of writing answers. So social, there's an essay topic, social media.
Social media is inherently selfish.
So, नहीं सर, इसके पहले हम लोग के समय था social media bane or boon for the society, like this of kind of simple topic. Now to write on this simple topic is very tough. So he got 170 or 160 marks in those. So he starts by raising that on this day I was going for a fever checkup in this hospital, and there were doctors who were scrambling around, and there I saw in ICU people were scrambling around, and I saw 2 beds of where different doctors were attending. On one of the sets, it was not social media, it was technology. So on one of the bed, 4 doctors were teleconsulting another doctor from USA who was expert in so and so field and was operating that patient. And on the other side, a girl who was stalked online and attempted suicide was being treated. So there I visualized the 2 different aspects of digital. So it basically sounds like a very good where you summarize the topic, and some people can sir, very naturally create those stories. So that is basically developed through a lot of practice, and some have inherent ability to do it.
Yes.
But all topics don't require also this. Many topics you need to write it differently, and there I see, and perhaps we need to stop copying. I think if we look in ourselves, everybody has a unique way of writing.
No, but nowadays a culture has developed. People download the copies of toppers. They try to just imitate line by line. Each and every habit of that candidate is being copied nowadays. Even कि कोई candidate ऐसे copy है और वो ऐसे draw करके heading लिखता है, ऐसे draw करके heading आजकल एक culture है. यहाँ पे heading लिख दिया.
तो
फिर दूसरे पेज पे भी वैसे ही करेगा.
तो टेलर ही चल रहा है सर, 1 बेस्ट पे हो गया.
ठीक है. और यहाँ पे हेडिंग है. तो आई सी नाउ इट इज ना कि मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल हैव स्टार्टेड पुचिंग दिस आर्टिफिशियल थिंग. They don't think that it's the content rather than the.
मतलब ये सब चीजें, if there is content and you are then exploring, then it looks nice. And if you are only thinking of
but
present.
then he is not bringing his uniqueness.
Sir, anyway, if we just concentrate on presentation and there is no content, it is irritating.
Yes, irritating. No, but over and above, it's your uniqueness is not coming. I mean, you are not allowing your uniqueness to come, whatever. This, which will influence the examiner. No. Yes, any other question? So all people are motivated? No. It's you are already motivated. It's like that. So you should know that you don't have to. I say nowadays people ना अभी तो खेलने का टाइम है, मतलब अभी जस्ट शुरू किया है प्रिपरेशन, तो अभी क्यों फ्रस्ट्रेशन होना चाहिए? Frustration should come after 2-3 right. So, but I find that some people feel tense, etc. Because these things should come only after 2-3 attempts, right? Not at this stage. At this stage, you should study more and more. No. और 3 months वाला चल रहा है फार्मूला. Right. People say, मार्केट में फिलॉसफी है ना 3 months वाला.
3 months का तो सर क्रैश कोर्स होता है सर.
Right, वो पहले होता था. GS2 type answer and public ad answer. Someone is questioning.
So
Public ad paper 2 and GS paper 2.
yes, so in GS, in public ad paper 2, questions are also like that there is a possibility that you will end up writing journalistic answers, and which will basically become GS2 paper answers. What is the difference between, if I am asking coordination between two ministries to repeat on that particular question, if that question is put in GS2 and it has been put into public ad paper 2. If the answers are basically the same, if I have written that such and such episode happened, such and such episode happened, so basically I am writing the same answer for both the topics. So in public administration, you have to bring in the core knowledge of public administration, which you have learned from paper 1 and also from paper 2. So if I can use some thinkers, for example, in this question, we could have used thinkers like Gulick, Ervik, and some practical administration issues that are occurring. And in many questions, modern day, you see, there is a very good piece of article relating to Kautilya Arthashastra's present day applications. There is a very, if anybody has seen it. So it has such beautiful examples of how Kautilya Arthashastras is relevant today for administration, related to corruption, related to other snippets, related to end means paradigm. So how to use your core knowledge of public administration, that is important. So paper 1 and paper 2 need not be compartmentalized. You can use your examples of paper 2 in paper 1, because ultimately Indian administration is also public administration. And though there is possibly no thinker of Indian or from India in paper 1, but administration is being practiced here also. And then in paper 2, ultimately you're talking about administration. In fact, so much that you have British, Mughal and Kautilya Arthashastra as the first topic of paper 2. So why not use knowledge from that? Why not use knowledge from paper 1? You have to use the entire knowledge of public administration, I'll say. Entire 12 and I think 14 chapters. 12, 14 chapters if it is the same. 12 and 14 headings of the syllabus to answer a question. So that, according to me, will give the difference between generalistic answers and public ad answers.
So I guess enough.
Sir, one question. So can you define the frame mindset before framing the snippets for the mains, like 1 week or 2 weeks before the examination?
That mindset is basically very unique. What am I forgetting when I write this thinker? And you might forget different things. He or she might forget different things. So my snippet will be something core. So if I have a snippet of Taylor, it will be have Taylor, 4 arrows, the 4 main principles. So ये तो मुझे याद रहना ही चाहिए. And then every time I write Taylor, a question is asked, I forget this example of Taylor. That this particular example मैं भूल जाता हूँ कि वो USA में एक कमेटी बनी थी 1937 में, जिसमें टेलर को कमेटी में रखा गया था और सॉरी टेलर के अगेंस्ट इंक्वायरी बैठी थी, एंड उसमें उसके मीन्स मैन एज अ मशीन के कंसेप्ट को चैलेंज किया गया था, तो मैं ये एग्जांपल भूल जाता हूँ, तो मैं वो वहाँ लिख लूँगा स्निपेट में। आपको ये एग्जांपल याद रह सकता है, किसी और कुछ और याद रह सकता है, तो दैट स्निपेट इज बेसिकली व्हाट यू आर नॉट रिमेंबरिंग प्रॉपरली।
Same goes for the other subjects as well.
Not really, because other subjects, possibly GS में तो everything under the sun is your more or less is the or your optional. But in GS, if I prepare that notes, snippets is practically, I never prepared snippets because I believe GS में snippets बनाना बहुत मुश्किल है. But I'll prepare snippets of current affairs which are very important. Like some issue which has very important, some major things have happened. So I'll definitely revise those things.
So one more thing, sir, there is a blurred vision regarding current affairs. What is current affairs? Some says this is the only newspaper. Some say that editorial. Some say that the 365 पढ़ लो. Something. Some say anything else. Kurukshetra or or.
तो ये abundance of information का which we were talking about, because this is a classic case of abundance of information. Practically, telling you very honestly, I also bought Yojana, Kurukshetra, and India book and everything. But with limited amount of time that we had between in our preparation that we faced, we end up reading one newspapers, 1.5 newspapers, our books, search notes, and some online search, particular topic wise some search stuff. I think beyond a point, overstretching is negative. See, वर्क डिस्प्लेसमेंट का चार्ट ऐसे जाके फिर इंजीनियर्स को पता होगा, फिर वो थोड़ा सा ज़ीरो हो जाता है ना, वर्क डन. सो बेसिकली अ लिमिटेड कवरेज and revision of this coverage is a better way than having broader coverage and less revising it. एक बेयर मिनिमम सबको पढ़ना है, उतना पढ़ना है, देन उसके बाद एक कवरेज का अपना रखना है कि हमने थोड़ा सा इसको एक्सप्लोर किया है, देन हम उसको रिवाइज करना है. नहीं तो वी विल कीप वी विल प्रिपेयर नोट्स ऑफ योजना, वी विल प्रिपेयर नोट्स ऑफ कुरुक्षेत्र. आई ऑल्सो प्रिपेयर्ड, एंड these were the notes that were biting dust. I was probably, you can call it mismanagement of time. Some people can manage it. There's no some people can manage their time very, but with my experience, I can say limited coverage and revising that will help more.
Many time it happened कि you prepared a notes for current affairs, you never read it.
Yes, sir. Many times. And luckily or unluckily, those questions were there or not there. Sometimes they were there, they're not there. So it will happen because it is a vast syllabus. So it may, you'll also have to choose. You will end up, tomorrow is the examination or some days are left and you have this much of notes. So being human, you will not be able to revise each of the notes that you have prepared. So you'll have to pick and choose from which you want to revise and which you can leave.
There is one more question, like 2 years preparation, stretching in 2 years. So she's saying slow learner.
Honestly, I think, as I said, mean should be prepared before starting for prelims, because ultimately if you don't prepare, you will be somewhat behind the start point when results are declared after prelims. So first thing is, and for ideally for preparation of mains, I say 10 to 11 months in general, I think is, there can be debate about it, but according to me 10 to 11 months are fine for starters to prepare for the first time. And then you have 3 months between pre and mains, so that makes it 14 months. So I think that this time, this much of time is enough to clear.
Should we finish now? Great. Okay then.
So thank you so much for inviting, and it was very good to interact with you. I hope if you had certain doubts over yourself, this session would have removed some of those, and probably will start believing in yourself. And as I said, everybody of us are born with the same 6 senses, and and it depends upon your exploration techniques and your hard work and your commitment and dedication with what you can do with what you have got. I think try your best, and I hope some of the faces that I have seen here, I see on Lukman's website 1 year or 2 years after, or even 3 years after, we don't mind. Thank you so much.